This is not just a drug bust. It is a total intrusion into American justice.
High-ranking officials, including a sitting federal judge, are accused of building an underground empire for the Sinaloa cartel.
I saw the reinforced tracks they built underground, but we were told it was just a drainage project.
At 3:47 a.m. in downtown Houston, Texas, FBI and ICE task forces moved like ghosts along the limestone walls, their footsteps barely audible. Inside the secure area, anti-intrusion vehicles awaited the final signal, while family members outside watched in stunned disbelief as their loved ones were apprehended and led away. A ground-penetrating radar device buzzed in the basement, its screen flashing with a jagged, erratic signal contradicting any officially documented floor plan. Deep beneath the foundations, precisely 3 meters below, sensors detected a massive solid structure, neither bedrock nor drainage pipes. It was a secret room, reinforced with thick military-grade concrete walls and equipped with an advanced ventilation system. This moment marked the end of a national crisis. The investigation into the Sinaloa cartel is no longer about street drug dealers or warehouse distributors. It involves a protectionist system that has infiltrated the very core of the American legal system, where those who swore to uphold the law are the very ones building bunkers to conceal the truth. Before we delve into this case, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel now. As we prepare to peel back the layers of one of the most audacious conspiracies in modern history, take a brief moment to hit the like button and subscribe. Your support is exactly what helps bring these hidden stories out of the shadows. Now let's step back to where the unraveling began. At 11:23 p.m. on a sweltering night in Houston, Texas, a routine ICE surveillance unit spotted 3 refrigerated trucks. The 3 trucks were slowly making their way into the port of Houston, blending in with thousands of tons of cargo being transported along the Gulf Coast. Outwardly, the paperwork seemed perfect, including agricultural permits and official inspection seals. However, inside the cargo hold, officers found more than just agricultural produce or consumer goods. Within 48 hours, analysts at the Defense Intelligence Agency in Washington saw a pattern spanning 11 months in 6 different counties. They estimated that over 4 tons of high-quality narcotics had passed through unchecked. Over $60 million in cash belonging to drug cartels had been laundered through high-end real estate and luxury development projects in Houston. Someone within the federal court system was operating like a ghost, silently overturning arrest warrants, dismissing cases, and protecting drug cartel-related assets from government seizure. The breakthrough came from a single encrypted folder found on a driver's cell phone simply labeled Blueprints. For 3 days, federal command centers were paralyzed as they realized the scale of the breach. One of the disposable phones seized from the convoy contained a registered federal government email address, proving the insider wasn't a low-level employee. In a high-security lab in downtown Houston, the FBI's Cyber Command unit worked in shifts to break through the digital walls. The encryption on the servers wasn't built by the drug cartel, but was government-grade software typically only available to federal contractors. It took 3 hours just to break through the outermost layer of code. When the first financial structure was uploaded to the screen, the chief analyst recoiled from his desk in shock. The data revealed 14 separate shell companies operating through fictitious construction firms, a well-known restaurant chain, and even 2 charities. Through these channels, millions of dollars in legal consulting fees had been deposited into a private trust account. Senior agent Marcus Tellis watched the screen as the name of the signatory authorizing that account appeared in bold. At the center of the ledger, the name appeared repeatedly. That name belonged to Judge Isabella Renee Mercer, a federal judge with 15 years of experience, a woman appointed, confirmed, and deeply trusted by the community. In his 22 years in federal law enforcement, Agent Tellis had never seen the name of a sitting judge on a cartel's payment ledger. His hands trembled as he typed the confirmation request to headquarters in Washington, realizing they had finally found the spy. Never before had a case revealed such high-level collusion that it turned the court into a service provider for the Sinaloa cartel. But as the investigation deepened, a chilling question began to surface among the task force members. Judge Mercer was a key link in the network, but the blueprints showed she wasn't the architect of the entire system. Deep within the files, they found evidence of Border Patrol schedules, real-time surveillance blind spots, and even secret containment plans that had been leaked weeks earlier. Looking at the data, it was clear this was a parallel government operating in the heart of Texas. This blueprint was a manual for taking over the state's judicial and law enforcement infrastructure. At 5:23 a.m., the Joint Task Force Command Center in Houston became the nerve center for the largest domestic attack in years. 43 flashing red markers on a massive digital map represented high-value targets in Harris County, Fort Bend, and Galveston. More than 1,200 federal agents were now active, supported by 60 SWAT teams and 18 Black Hawk helicopters roaring overhead. Off the Gulf Coast, 2 U.S. Navy patrol boats maintained a tight maritime cordon to prevent any escape of Sinaloa's logistics officers. At a desert complex outside Rosenberg, tactical units raided a methamphetamine super laboratory capable of producing 400 kilograms of the product per week. Flames from the destruction signaled the end of one of the largest production sites in the southern United States. Meanwhile, at a luxury estate in Woodlands, agents arrested 3 high-ranking cartel commanders and seized a secret safe containing $9 million in vacuum-sealed cash. A massive tunnel system was discovered beneath an industrial area in Laredo with reinforced rail tracks, professional lighting, and a ventilation system that took years to design. This underground route was the main artery of the corridor, transporting tons of illicit goods directly into central Texas. In Galveston, a human trafficking hub was raided in the early morning hours, resulting in the rescue of 47 victims held in appalling conditions. On Interstate 10, a migrant smuggling convoy was intercepted where 12 smugglers were apprehended, along with 31 people crammed into a truck bed with no ventilation system. The temperature inside the steel container had risen to over 90 degrees, making the rescue a matter of life or death for those trapped inside. By noon that day, the official tally of the operation showed 8.4 tons of drugs seized and $67 million in assets frozen. 340 individuals were being held in processing centers, but the atmosphere among the gang's senior members remained eerily calm. A logistics coordinator known only by the nickname Trez sat in the back of the prisoner transport vehicle staring through the wire mesh window at the federal building. He watched the agents celebrating and whispered that they had only reached the ground floor of the building. His fearlessness made the arresting officers uneasy. They realized this man hadn't exaggerated the size of the organization. Back at the field office, analysts finally broke through the last layer of encryption on the server found at the auto repair shop. The data displayed on the screen wasn't a list of street drug dealers, but a full list of those wielding administrative power. 23 Houston area police officers, 7 Border Patrol agents, and 11 state legislators were listed as active contractors for the network. Judge Isabella Mercer was merely a mid-level manager responsible for the judicial branch of a much larger shadow government. Operating entirely within the legal framework, this parallel infrastructure was designed to operate by signatures and maneuvers, not by bullets and threats. From this point onward, the investigation shifted from a drug bust to a hunt for the man who had built a region-wide empire of corruption. Each arrest in the morning raids was part of a sacrificial scheme designed to protect the real administrative apparatus that controlled the cartel's operations in America. A chilling realization dawned on Command Center that they were battling a full-fledged corporate entity, not just a criminal gang. Years of chasing ghosts had led them to this moment, only to discover that the creator was someone they might have greeted in the hallways of a federal building. At 2:14 p.m. at a sun-drenched golf resort in Scottsdale, Arizona, the man responsible for the collapse of the Texas justice system was finally cornered. Gordon Harwell Pace, a recently retired regional director with more than a decade of service, had spent 11 years in a position that allowed him to foresee major containment plans before they were implemented. During his arrest, agents discovered that his government access code was still active in 3 large databases, giving him a sweeping view of the entire Gulf of Mexico law enforcement apparatus. This high-level access allowed him to serve as the chief architect of the cartel's homeland security strategy. His signature was on the federal contractor certificate used to build the military-grade encryption system that protected the cartel's communications for years. Across the state of Texas and into Louisiana, the true scale of his operation began to emerge from the cloud partitions of his encrypted devices. Analysts discovered that the Houston operation was merely a prototype for a much larger, more sinister, and far more extensive strategy. They realized that in the cities of Dallas, San Antonio, and New Orleans, the same pattern had been deployed and was operating. In these cities, the corrupt structure was identical, using the same shell company structure, the same judicial access points, and the same integrated border patrol models. This criminal organization had successfully replicated itself across 3 major urban corridors, demonstrating that the spread was not confined to one area. By the time the Houston Task Force realized what was happening, this network had transported billions of dollars worth of drugs through these secret protected routes. Records show that Gordon Harwell Pace was never paid in cash. Instead, he received a massive stake in the very real estate projects he helped the gang acquire through legal loopholes. It is here that the cold administrative reality of this model meets the devastating human cost on the streets of the Bay Area. Beneath the surface of legal consulting fees and shell company bills lies a long chain of deaths stretching across the region. Statistics from Harris County alone show that 2,400 people died from drug overdoses in just 1 year. Someone sitting in a comfortable office in a federal building signed documents allowing this poison to flood American neighborhoods undetected. In the records, investigators found the names of victims who should never have been found, including 89 human trafficking victims rescued in morning raids. A single mother in Houston recounts the story of her 23-year-old son who died from a pill he believed to be a common painkiller. She asks investigators how a system designed to protect her family was the very thing that provided the weapon that killed her son. For years, the administrative silence of the courts and the quiet dismissal of cases created the perfect cover for this multi-generational scheme. This administrative corruption was the primary driver allowing the cartel to grow into a regional superpower. They not only violated the law, but rewrote the rules of the game, turning crime into a legitimate, protected business. In Dallas and San Antonio, the network integrated itself into local port authorities and transportation hubs. The blueprint details exactly which state legislators were paid to block foreclosure reform bills in the committee over the past 4 years. These payments were not merely legal consulting fees, but the lifeblood of a system that traded human lives for the economic gain of a business. Beyond state boundaries, Border Patrol agents involved in the scheme falsified patrol route data, creating invisible 30-mile corridors at specific times when Sinaloa cartel convoys were expected to move. This was a parallel infrastructure serving the cartel's leadership, not the U.S. Constitution. As the investigation expanded to Dallas and New Orleans, the federal government was forced to confront the reality that the enemy was not hiding in the jungle or mountain caves. Instead, the enemy sat in the office next door, pen and key to the kingdom. In the quiet corridors of the Houston Federal Building, the truth uncovered by the task force was far more terrifying than the tons of drugs seized in the raids. It turned out that true power in the 21st century doesn't always require guns or threats. With just a court signature and voluntary silence, an entire area was handed over to the Sinaloa cartel. This underground infrastructure operated in broad daylight, protected by the very people who had sworn to destroy it. It wasn't a war of bullets, but a victory won with ink and administrative immunity. Perhaps the most terrifying realization is not that our defenses were breached, but that they were quietly sold from within. We are conditioned to look for monsters in dark alleys or distant borders. Yet the true architects of this chaos wear tailored suits, sit beneath the seal of justice, and wield the quiet, devastating power of bureaucracy. They have commodified our safety, proving that the most dangerous weapon is not a cartel's rifle, but a corrupted pen. When the guardians themselves become the predators, it forces us to ask a chilling question: who is left to watch the watchers? That responsibility ultimately falls to us. The truth only thrives in the light. By hitting the like button, you push this investigation onto the screens of those who need to see who is truly running the system. If you believe these shadow networks must be dismantled, drop the word "expose" in the comments below. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next investigation.